Something parents of teenagers will want to hear. 1 in 4 high school seniors say they've used e-cigarettes during the past year.
And now the FDA wants to make it harder for teens to vape by limiting the sale of flavored e-cigarettes in convenience stores and gas stations. Lauren Bale spoke with high school students about just how common vaping has become.
Ask high schoolers about vaping, and they're quick to tell you just how popular it is.
How common is it?
Out of 1 to 5, I say a 4.
4? So a lot of kids are using it?
Yeah.
The Center for Disease Control finds a 78% increase in e-cigarette use among high school kids and a 48% increase among middle schoolers in just the past year. Although the kids I spoke to today say they stay away from vaping products.
I heard that it's bad for you, and it still can cause stuff that cancer cause.
Studies show more teens are using vape products than regular cigarettes, even though vaping can be just as addictive. In an attempt to curb the use of e-cigarettes among minors, the FDA proposed limiting the sale of flavored vape products in convenience stores and gas stations. In order to sell the products, stores would have to keep flavored e-cigarettes in a closed-off section of the store, inaccessible to minors.
And you would put your nicotine liquid into the top of this device.
Sean Partridge owns Crescent City Vape and says his store will not sell the flavored e-cigarettes to minors.
We are doing the right thing, and the right thing is only selling these products to adult smokers that are trying to quit.
While the proposed FDA crackdown won't impact him, he thinks it's a good idea to make sure convenience stores follow the same rules and regulations as his shop.
They're targeting gas stations that just need to make every penny they can.
While the FDA and parents are trying to keep these substances out of the hands of teenagers.
When somebody else doing something, they always want to pass it on. That's the only concern you got.
They might be fighting a losing battle.
It's pretty easy to get a lot of stuff in New Orleans.
Lauren Bale, Eyewitness News.
The FDA proposal still has to go through several regulatory phases, and it could be years before the rules take effect.